Hello, chefs. This is Chef's PSA. I'm your host, André Natera. Today I'm joined by Chef Patrick Mitchell, Corporate Culinary Ambassador for Benny Keith Foods, headquartered in Fort Worth, Texas. Chef Patrick was named the 2016 ACF National Chef of the Year, and he's also the author of The Plating Window, with a second book on the way. We're talking chef certification, culinary competitions, and what it takes to keep pushing yourself as a professional chef. Stay tuned. Great restaurants don't always bring customers in. Great stories do. Because in food, beverage, and hospitality, what you sell is only part of the story. It's the why behind it, the authority you create, and the experience that you build. MarketScale turns expertise into content that connects. Podcasts, video series, and industry education. Not ads, assets. MarketScale has brought Run the Pass and How to Manage Like an Executive Chef to life. Real-world examples of how great content leads the conversation. Because attention is earned, and the industry doesn't need more noise, it needs more leaders. For people that don't know, we work together, I don't know, I've probably close to 10 years.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've known you
years,
for
yeah.
27
Yeah.
years, right? I talk about this often on the podcast, is my early, my culinary childhood and my upbringing being around competitions and the ACF and growing up in that environment around a lot of chefs and the network and the food grazers and the competitions,
Sure, yeah.
everything that goes with it. But the missing part to a lot of those stories is a lot of that was with you.
Uh-huh.
So I think for the audience listening, I would probably say the first question I would ask you is, throughout your career as a chef, approximately how many competitions have you competed in?
Oh, wow. Well, the book talks about the 40-year journey from my first competition and how I got started in it until I really quit competing. But in those 40 years, I would say, 70, I think would be a good guess.
70?
I didn't do 2 a year every year religiously, but there were a lot of years that I didn't do any, and a lot of years I did 2 or 3, maybe 4. So
Wow.
I think that's a good number.
70?
Yeah.
How many of them did you win?
Oh, geez, Andre. In my mind?
I should have won all of them, but
Yeah, it's a tough. I think I won a little bit in every one of them because you learn something in each competition. And I tell people when their first competitions, the most important part of the competition is the critique, because that's where you really learn.
Mm-hmm.
And you can put all kinds of great food out there and all that stuff, but when you get critiqued, that's you learn the secrets.
yeah. You carry so much knowledge in competition and professionalism, and I will commend you on the show here about what a professional are. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you won the ACF Chef Professionalism Award.
For the Central Region, yeah.
For the Central Region, yes.
It was a big honor. I won that, I think, in 2005.
Yeah.
And it's the LJ Minor Professionalism Award. And they award it to one chef out of each of the 4 regions.
Uh-huh.
And then they have the national champion that they select one of those 4 for national. But it's based on things that you've done, bringing up apprentices, doing things to really promote the industry and the profession,
Well, the reason I bring this up, because I have a great story, which maybe you haven't thought of in 20 years, but it's about the professionalism that you have.
Okay.
So we were doing you had won the Dallas Morning News Rising Star Chef competition. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do,
you
yes,
remember.
sir.
I don't remember what year you would have won.
I don't either.
But it probably was like 2002 or so, right? And I want to say the year or so after, I was competing in the competition for the Dallas Morning News Rising Star Chef, right?
Yeah.
And it was my first year competing, and you had really encouraged me to compete in this competition. And it wasn't my first cooking competition, but for me, it was still early. It was like the second or third. I hadn't done many. I had done a couple in Denver, but nothing really. And we had done a lot of coaching, but you were very strict about coaching me because you were also judging.
Oh,
Do you remember?
was I judging that? 'Cause
You were judging. you were for sure judging, and this is exactly where this story is going.
Okay.
So you were judging the competition. This speaks to your professionalism in a good way, and why I despise your professionalism so much still to this day. So I'm in the cooking competition, and for people that don't know, back then this was kind of a big deal. This Rising Star Chef competition in Dallas.
Yeah, there was questions. You had to qualify to get into it. Yeah.
Right, and it was at the Fairmont.
Yeah.
It was inside the brasserie, inside the brasserie at the Fairmont in Dallas. This was when the Fairmont Dallas was the Fairmont Dallas, and Roger Hyde was the chef, I think, at the time. And I remember they had camera crews in there, and they're filming everything for the competition. And I don't remember what I was making. I was making like some knockoff of a Charlie Trotter dish. And I was making mashed potatoes. And I was mashing them, and I was pouring the cream. And I got nervous because the cameraman was standing on the stainless steel above, top shot down, watching me mix. And I was pouring in the cream, and I got so nervous that I poured too much cream, and it was just like soup, right? And so I ended up losing the competition. And I remember the first thing you came up, because you didn't know which one was my dish. You did not know which one was my dish until after you came up to me and said, "Was that your dish?" And I said, "Yeah, that was my dish." And you said, "I'll never forget," you said, "What the hell happened with the potatoes?" And I was like, "Well, you knew it was my dish. Why did I not win?" Regardless of the potatoes. But I ended up winning later on when you weren't a judge. But for people that often talk about, sometimes there's a conflict of interest in competitions because you're judging your friends, you're judging your peers, people that you travel with, you compete with, people that you've known through the federation. And then sometimes you got to be hard on them and tell them, "Hey, potatoes suck."
Well, that's the thing people talk about. I try not to get myself in those situations, but if I have a competitor that worked for me or that I know or something like that, and I have to judge them, I have to judge them. So you have to be fair. You have to be honest with them. Nobody appreciates winning something that's been given to them. So, it would do them a disservice.
What is your current role with competitions, and when was the last time you competed in a competition?
Well, the last time I competed was at the Global Chefs Challenge in Kuala Lumpur, and that was in 2018. Currently, after that, I've stepped down from competition, and I am judging, I'm mentoring, coaching, doing those kind of things, helping support those coming up.
So I want to get into the mindset of a competitor. And by the way, great book.
Oh,
for people so for people that are listening, can you tell people the title of the book?
Yeah, it's The Plating Window, and it's culinary competitions, stories of culinary competitions, a chef's journey. And it's the 40-year journey of how I got started and introduced to competitions until that Kuala Lumpur competition, and then actually a little bit beyond that into mentoring and kind of giving back.
Yeah, beautiful cover too. Is that me on the cover with you? It's not,
no.
is it? That's an interesting choice. Well, this interview's over.
I knew it was going to be a short one.
No, I'm kidding. It's a great book. But the reason I want to get into the competitions a little bit is because I think immediately people think competitions are not for me. And why would I compete? They're sometimes from the outside looking in, you might not immediately see the value of a competition. I recall a time that you had come and helped one of my sous chefs prepare for a competition. You came in and you did some coaching for them. And there were so many little things that we don't think about when we're in the culinary operation, when we're in the restaurants, of how much crossover there actually is between culinary competitions and the daily culinary operation, and how they improve each other. Well, I guess the first question is, why is it important for a chef to compete? What are some of the advantages that you received from being a culinary competitor? And what are some of the advantages that you think that someone, a chef in a hotel or a restaurant would get from competing?
Well, a lot of people say competition is it's not real life. It's not what you do in a kitchen day to day. And I argue that point with the fact that what you gain out of competition, it forces you to work at a very high level of competency for an extended period of time. And when you up your game and work at that level for an extended period of time, when you go back to work, you don't say, okay, now I'm going to go back to the lower level that I used to work at. That's your new standard. And then people in the kitchen see that new standard, and they kind of emulate that standard as well. So, that's what I've gained out of competition. There's creativity. There's seeing new ideas, different things that other competitors are doing, and it's also it forces you to be very organized, setting up your workstation organized, working clean, working meticulous. These are all things that just translate to success in the industry.
And in general, what are the, obviously there's all sorts of competitions, but what are the main types of competitions that most people will compete in that you could probably find, throughout the United States and all over the world?
So the American Culinary Federation and WACS, the World Association of Chef Society, kind of align pretty well. And most of the competitions these days are hot food competitions, could be a wild card competition where there's a specific protein. There could be a mystery basket competition where you're given ingredients and you have to create whatever the criteria is. There's also cold food competitions, and that's whether it be hot food or cold food presented cold. So it's usually glazed with aspic and put on a mirror and displayed that way. Not cooked in front of the judges, but cooked off-site and brought in. Pastry competitions are the same.
I want to talk a little bit more about hot food presented cold, because I think a lot of people don't understand that, and they possibly don't understand what the benefit is of doing a hot food presented cold. But I know you've coached me through a couple of those way back, and I learned so much just from, and I didn't win, but I learned so much just from competing in those competitions of the hot food presented cold.
Yep.
Can you talk about what are some of the important things that separate a good competitor from maybe someone that's not going to win in a hot food presented cold competition?
Well, it's attention to detail. It's attention to, you're cooking the food just like you would cook it on the line, but then you're cooling it and you're glazing it in aspic. And the aspic is really a gelatin mixture. And the reason you're glazing it is to seal it, keep it from drying out, give it a nice sheen and a good appearance to it on the plate. If you don't take care of the first things properly, the proper cooking and things like that, some people will say, let's say a grilled scallop, I'm going to put this grilled scallop on this plate. Well, they'll take the scallop and, you probably aren't going to cook it on a grill. You're probably going to take a skewer and heat it up and make those lines on there perfectly spaced so it's beautiful. But you got to do the other side too, even though it's, a lot of people think I just have to do the top. Well, judges look at that and then say, okay, if you did it that way, that's fine. But that tells me you don't know how to cook a scallop, because you're not going to put it on there and just do one side. You're going to do both sides.
Right.
So, little things like that, attention to detail, the sauce, the way the sauce is done, with gelatin in that, nice sheen to it.
I can think back to the competition that I did, and you were coaching me through it, and I had to do a consommé. And I remember having the process of, so we had the consommé already with gelatin in it. We pour a little bit, and then we put a little garnished vegetables. Then we pour a little bit more and set it. Put a little bit more garnished vegetables, then pour a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it would have the appearance of it being floating throughout.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the little things that I think people like. Oh, it's just cold food. No, there's a lot to it.
Yeah. And you want it to look like, so back to a hot plate presented cold, you're going to have some vegetables on there. You're going to glaze those vegetables. You're going to cook them, put a sheen of aspic on them. Well, then also sprinkle a little seasoning on that and then dip it again in aspic so that seasoning is, so now it looks like a nice seasoned vegetable. The sauce I talked about, you're going to put everything on the plate and then you're going to pour the sauce in so it flows in under. So it looks like that product is sitting in the sauce. Rather than putting the sauce on the plate, it hardens, and then you set the steak on top of the sauce. Well, you can see that it's sitting on top. So it's little things like that that make a difference.
When you're judging those competitions, how big of a difference typically is it between gold and silver? Like, what are some of the things that a gold medalist would do that the silver medalist isn't catching just yet?
Wow, that's really hard. There's so many things that go into it, but it's the finesse of the work, the craftsmanship, the again, attention to detail. How if they're showing technique instead of just doing a piece of meat on the plate or a piece of fish on the plate. Maybe they're making a nice seafood sausage to go with that piece of fish, and then a grilled scallop to go there too. So they're showing multiple cooking techniques, and just really precise cuts, precise things in that sausage. Even there may be some vegetables that are in there. What's the cut on those vegetables?
When you think back to your career of over 70 plus competitions, is there one that sticks out more than others, like a highlight?
I think when we won National Chef of the Year, that was a really fun competition.
What year was that?
That was in 2016.
And what does the competition look like to win National Chef of the Year?
Well, it changes. I'm on the national competition committee now, but when I did it, we were assigned 2 proteins. I could bring in 2 apprentices to help out. Those apprentices could work on anything but the protein. I had to fabricate the proteins. I had to do all the work on the proteins. I could get it ready to go into the oven and hand it to the apprentice that was working there and say,
What's the requirement for the apprentice that's with you?
Well, they can do anything but the proteins.
They can do anything.
Yeah.
But,
So
do they have like a certain age limit that they have to be?
Oh yeah. I can't remember what it is. I think it was under 22 or something like that.
That's
during
why
the
you didn't call
competition.
me.
Yes. Among other reasons. No, but and we were given rainbow trout and rabbit, and we had to do 4 different dishes: 2 with rainbow trout, 2 with the rabbit. Had to do 4 portions of each of the 4 dishes. Fabricate the product, bone it out, do all that stuff, and we had 1 hour, and we were cooking our asses off. It was fun. It was just an energy that I can't express.
What are some of the things that you could do? Because I'm thinking, okay, an hour's not a lot of time, especially to come up with that many dishes, and so I'm sure there's a lot of practice that goes into it. But I'm sure you have techniques that you have ready to go that will give you maximum flavor, minimal amount of time.
Yeah.
So what are some of those techniques that you use that maybe that other competitors could learn from, but also maybe people that are in the restaurant could say, that's actually a great technique that I can incorporate into the operation?
Yeah. So, one of the first things we took a look at it, and you're talking, when you start doing 4 different entrees, I mean, that's a lot of food. Plus, are you going to get 8 entree portions out of a trout? No, you're probably going to have to bring in 2 trout. Probably going to have to bring in 2 rabbit. So we looked at the rules, we got clarification, and everybody's assuming entree, but we said, we're going to do appetizer portions. So now I only had to fabricate 1 trout. I only had to fabricate one rabbit. And then, you kind of look at some different things. You want to show technique. You want to show classic skills. So one of the trout dishes, I did a classic poach where I cut the medallions of trout. I put it in a buttered pan, put some shallots and celery and dill in the pan, a little bit of white wine, and then covered it with a buttered cartouche and put it in the oven, and just a classic poach. I pulled that out. It was well seasoned. Oh, and I piped a seafood mousse on top of it. And then I took that white wine that it poached in, and I created a sauce out of that. So I'm showing that technique of using the pan drippings, if you will, to create your sauce. And just a small little thing, beautiful with some fava beans, and turned that into a beurre blanc sauce. Different things, I've done a lot of roulades in my life, and the rabbit, one of them, I did a roulade of, took the 2 tenderloins out, or the 2 loins out of the rabbit, and took the rest of the rabbit and made a farce, wrapped that, and did kind of a yin and a yang with some mushroom and red bell pepper between them. It's all talked about in the book, but it showed really some technique and some skill, and that's what they're looking for.
Leading up to the competition, what is the preparation for you and the apprentice? Like, how far out are you preparing? How far out do you know exactly what you're going to make? Or is there you have an idea of what you're going to make, and then when you get there, you might have to call an audible?
in those competitions, in the regional competition and the national competition, they gave us the ingredients and told us, and in the global competition too, they told us what the ingredients were going to be, and they gave us probably 4 weeks, 5 weeks maybe in advance, so that you can kind of write a menu, you can practice it, you can look at timing, you can do all that kind of stuff. 'Cause like I say, 1 hour is very quick, and so we had things down, orchestrated. It was almost like a dance. Everybody had their steps and this and that, and then there's going to be things that'll happen, and when those things happen, you gotta punt, and hopefully those things will happen before we get to the competition, so we can kind of practice through that and understand this is a possibility and prevent it. But things will happen in the competition as well.
How far out are you starting practice?
Well, as soon as you get the ingredients.
Yeah.
As soon as you find out what those ingredients are. Now, for national, I started probably 2.5 months because I had to identify my apprentices, who was going to do that. I say apprentice, but it's really more of a commis. A young culinarian that's working with you in the kitchen. So then we kind of had some conversation about what if we get this, what if we get that, what are we going to do? And then before you know it, ingredients are announced and it's on.
And do you, leading up to this, are you practicing for time? Do you have a coach coaching you and your commis, or you take, with all the years of competition, do you take on the coaching role and the competitor role now?
No, I bring on a coach.
You do.
Somebody, you can't ask everybody, so you kind of pick one person that you really value their judgment, and bounce things off of them, because I may look at something and think that's great, and the coach says, yeah, that sucks. Yeah. So we retool it and go at it again. But and it's funny, the whole process. And I tell people this all the time, whether I'm coaching them in a competition or I'm coaching them through their practical exam for certification. You're going to have an idea what you want to cook, and you get into the kitchen and you start going, and man, the wheels fall off, and it's just a train wreck. And it's like, I've been embarrassed at times, like this guy's going to think I don't know how to cook. It's been that bad. Yeah. But you have to work through that to get to the other side. And if you quit and give up on that train wreck, you'll never get there. So it's a learning experience, and it's really all about getting things in the right order. You've got this, and this to do. If you do them in the wrong order, you'll never get done in time. If you get them in the right order and put that puzzle together, then it can be very successful.
As culinary has evolved and trends come and go, how much are competitions affected by culinary trends through social media or through restaurants that are very popular, of the moment restaurants, but also how has some of the I don't want to say the modernist cooking movement, but using hydrocolloids and cooking with circulators and things like that, is that starting to be commonplace in competitions, number one? And is it frowned upon, or is it looked upon as a tool to make it better?
Some competitions it's frowned upon. Other competitions, it's acceptable to a degree. Yeah. It's another cooking method. When you talk about circulators and things like that, I think in the student competitions, they don't allow circulators. They want students in competition to be focused on classical techniques, classical preparations. They'll use those circulators down the road in the operations, but we really want to kind of use these competitions as a learning experience. So sometimes, and if you get into that molecular gastronomy, and a lot of people are doing jellified, whether it be a little caviar or things like that, I tell people one of those, if you want to do it, do one, but don't try. And I judged a competition years ago, and it was a dessert entry. Competitor did a fried egg, as a dessert, and it was an egg white, was jellified coconut. The yolk was mango.
Like the old Wiley Dufresne thing from WD-50. Yeah.
And I said, why? Well, because it's cool, and it's just, but you wouldn't really serve that dessert.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with, so you can get kind of too crazy with it.
And you're not showing, like, I'm just putting myself in your shoes that day. It's like, I would have been happy with a beautiful tart.
Yeah. Sure.
With, a perfectly executed tart.
Yeah. And that shows a lot of technique.
Yeah.
And sometimes the simplest things show the most technique,
Yeah. It's funny because I want to say at this year's Bocuse d'Or, they also removed a lot of hydrocolloids from being allowed in the competition. And Matt Peters and I had a really long conversation about this, about how at the end of the day, it's about cooking and it's about making it delicious. And you can't use tricks and gimmicks and, magic tricks only take you so far. But it's gotta taste good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really the essence of it. And I think you had a kind of a conversation with Matthew Peters on the podcast about, just that basic, well-seasoned steak.
Yeah.
Of course, in a competition, you do have to show technique.
Sure.
So, you got to get past that. But there's things that you can do.
So how much then, so that leads to the question, like how important is the taste? So have you ever been in a judging position? I'm not trying to put you too much on the spot, but have you ever been in a position as a judge where that tastes exceptional?
Yeah.
Not a lot of technique on it. That one has a ton of technique. That one has to win. Or I mean, how do you decide?
Well, just 2 days ago, I was having a conversation with the chef talking about the score sheets for national coming up, and I think the primary thing when you look at scoring kitchen and taste, taste is the number one. It's got to have the highest. I'd say probably 40% for taste. Then craft skills and technique. You got to show some skill here. And then after that, how does it look is kind of the third. And then, after that, you start looking at organization and sanitation and work habits and all those kind of things. But back to your question, I think taste is the most important thing. But it can taste great. It can be, the best flavor you've had. But if the technique isn't there and if they're not showing any skill and they're not, really showing much else, it drops pretty quickly,
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because you're also being measured on how clean do you work and, your professional skills and everything that goes with it. You're being measured as a chef.
Yeah.
You're not being measured as, you're being measured as a chef.
And that's kind of another thing that we talked about is that, this past year when we judged the Chef of the Year competition, they could bring in one commis to help them in the kitchen. And that it was really restricted as to what the commis could do.
Yeah.
And it's really, at the end of the day, it's the chef's decision. If he asks that commis to do this and to do that, and that commis doesn't execute it well, it's going to fall on the chef,
Yeah.
Now, if that chef is just leaning on the commis, you can tell that the commis is really the culinarian here, and the chef is just, then that's a different story.
Yeah, certainly.
But, so
but even if that is the case, like how many, I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but how many great chefs out there in the world, it's their chef de cuisine that really, we all know, there's a lot of that. There's a face, but it's really the chef de cuisine in the kitchen that's like really the one making all the great food. And that's very common. So going back to competitions, mystery baskets, because I know this is probably one of the more common ones, especially for a lot of the local shows, and I'm just throwing out the local shows, but it's like, I'm putting on a cooking competition tomorrow. It's going to be a mystery basket. It's not affiliated with anyone. It's just like, it's the go-to.
Yeah.
Not only is it the go-to for competitions, also the go-to for a lot of job interviews.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
A lot of
that.
A lot of culinary job interviews for chefs. The first thing you do is you're going to throw them a mystery basket. Do you have anything that you do strategically to prepare? Because how do you prepare for a mystery basket competition or a mystery basket job interview?
Well, you have to kind of think what is it that you might get? Are you going to get lamb? Are you going to get pork? Are you going to get chicken? Are you going to get seafood? What are you going to get? And then, it's the old adage that we try and take the mystery out of the mystery basket. Usually there's a pantry there, and they tell you what's going to be in the pantry. There's some vegetables, there's some starches, potatoes, rice, pasta, those kind of things. The mystery basket is usually going to be the main protein, maybe a secondary protein, and then an ingredient, whether it be a fruit or a specific vegetable or something like that. And those you can always deal with, but it depends on what the competition is. Is it a 1 course? Is it a 3 course? Does it require dessert? Does it, but going back to those proteins, if I get chicken, here's what I'm going to do. If I get duck, here's what I'm going to do. I can fabricate it, do this, that, and the other, do a roulade, do a ballantine, do different things like that. If I get duck, maybe I'm going to confit the legs, take a pressure cooker in with me and confit the legs. When I got pheasant for regional, and that was a difficult one for me. Not the pheasant, but just trying to figure out the whole thing. But I did a braise on the legs, and then I was trying to stuff the breast and roast it on the bone. I wanted that nice crisp skin, and I tested it, and it was beautiful. But I couldn't get it done in time. I couldn't get the breasts to cook all the way, and when the end of the time came, I was, uncooked pheasant. So you can't go into a competition like that. And I just realized I kind of got off of your mystery basket question.
No, it's okay. Bring it back to the mystery basket.
But so you just kind of plan that way. You take a look at, if I'm going to get a loin of lamb, you're not just going to take it and bone it out and
Lamb lion. Do you remember? I don't remember what menu we did, and we misprinted it and said lamb lion. I think I typed it up. It was before I knew how to spell. We did a menu, and I remember you saying, "That's a lamb lion or a lamb loin."
What are we doing here?
Oh, jeez. That was before we had the little red squiggly. That was back in the day.
Spell check,
right? The spell checker was missing, or actually it was spelled right. It was lion, spelled correctly.
Yeah.
Right. So take the mystery out of the mystery basket.
Yeah.
I mean, we could get into that because that's something that I've used a lot. Like, I think back to when we worked together, the certification tests and all that, having to go through that and doing so many cooking interviews. The cooking interview that we did way back then is something that I've took with me and I talk about now on the podcast, and I encourage people, like, just use this as your cooking test. But before we get into that, because I do want to get into certification and cooking tests and things like that, for people that are interested in competing and they don't know where to begin, like, let's just say I'm year 1 culinary school graduate. How do I get involved? How do I get involved with cooking competitions? How do I find a mentor? Where do I start?
Well, you can go on to the American Culinary Federation. They've got on the website, they've got competitions. They have a competition calendar, and it's posted there where the competitions are. You can contact anybody in those competitions. It says who the chairman is and who the lead judge is, and say, look, I'm interested. Can I come and observe this competition? Some are kind of closed competitions, maybe for just a company or something like that. But 9 times out of 10, they're going to allow you to come over and take a look at it. You can call, go again on the American Culinary Federation website under competitions. There's a list of ACF certified judges. I think if you found, and it's by state, if you found somebody close to you and said, I want to find out about it, and called one of those judges, I can't think of a single judge that wouldn't say yeah. If somebody called me, I'd say sure. Texas Chefs Association has different competitions as well. So there's a lot of things out there. Just find out where the competitions are, and you can just do a Google search, and go to one. Ask questions, see how it is. That's the biggest thing in a person's mind is the unknown. They don't know what it looks like. They don't know what it's, so if you can go and see and experience it, you get a better opportunity.
It's funny. I was judging a competition, a culinary competition, and I was also in a position similar to you when you were judging me. One of my chefs was competing in the competition, and we spent so much time training and preparing him for this competition and really focusing on technique. Like, it was a mystery basket, so he had no idea what he was getting, but I was trying to explain to him, like, show a lot of technique. You get tomatoes, peel the tomatoes. You get asparagus, collar them or peel them or whatever. Sear it perfectly. Make sure the sauce is right. Like, just, make sure your knife cuts are correct. Everything. Like, we were so focused on the technique. He ended up losing the competition. I remember I was very upset because what he lost to was like zero technique. It was like, I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't good.
Yeah.
But it was more delicious according to some of the other judges.
Yeah.
But it didn't show a lot of technique. And I remember I was upset. And by the way, one of those other judges, your boy, I won't say who. I won't say who was one of your guys. Unlike you, I made sure my guy had a 10 of 10. He wasn't going to lose the competition. But all joking aside, we digress. So he ended up losing the competition, but he had so much technique on there, but it tasted, I don't want to say it tasted flat, but it tasted like asparagus tasted like asparagus that was seasoned, tomatoes tasted like tomatoes that were seasoned, but it wasn't exceptional.
Yeah.
Where the other person, didn't have a lot of technique, but it tasted really good. You'd put it on your restaurant menu, you'd go back and order it again.
Yeah.
And I think back to those moments where it's like, sometimes maybe you could focus too much on the technique and lose the plot that it still needs to taste good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's another great point. Everything that goes on that plate has got to be the best tasting. If it's a carrot, it's got to be the best tasting carrot those judges have ever tasted.
Yeah.
So do whatever you can. If you blanch that carrot, you've got a certain cut, you blanch it, you go to sweat it out, maybe a little bit of sugar in that water that you're blanching it in just to give it a little bit of sweetness. Saute it, hit a little butter, maybe a little stock to go in there and reduce that all down so it kind of creates a glaze. Season it with a little salt and pepper, toss that all. And now when you pull that out, that whole butter and that chicken stock, and it's all reduced down, it's got a nice glaze to it, and it's just got a really, really great flavor. So, that's the thing. So, again, all these techniques, I say flavors, the highest points, but, you can show all these techniques and then have horrible flavor.
Yeah.
So, it's all it's a balance.
How do you manage your time? So you're going into a competition and you have 1 hour. We've talked about the technique and everything else that's going with it, and you've planned it, but how do you manage your time?
Well, you try and, on an individual competition, you try and do, like, I like to get the butchery and that process out of the way quickly, because I can go in there, I can have that laid on the cutting board. When they say, okay, start now, I can just grab it and butcher, get that out of the way, wrapped up, put away, sanitize the station, and then get a new board, and now I can start working with the vegetables and things like that. And I don't have to worry too much about cross-contamination. So, there's just different techniques that you pick up.
Do you create a timeline? Because I remember when we were watching Bocuse, you have the coach there with the iPad clock, and okay, you need to start mincing shallots. You need to start doing this.
Yeah.
Is your coach doing that for you?
No, in the, now we're switching from mystery basket competition to a category, a contemporary cooking kind of a thing, where you know what the thing is, the protein that you're going to bring in. You either know, have decided, or you were assigned. And in those, I definitely have a timeline. And I tell people to do a timeline more in 15-minute increments rather than minute by minute, because in a 15-minute increment, you can put down, butcher the protein, whatever it is, start the process of the force meat or whatever, and do all those things. Next 15 minutes, clean, sanitize. Now you're working on your vegetables, because what happens is you post that timeline, and if it's minute by minute and you're not doing this task that was 10 minutes ago, the judges are looking at that saying, okay, this person's behind, But if it's just these kind of blocks of things, but yeah, you have to have something that shows them you're organized, you know what you're doing, you've got a plan, and then work through that plan.
And not only that, but you're also working very clean. Trays are organized.
Yeah. One task at a time. One knife, whatever knife that you need for that particular task, that's all that's on the table. You get done with that task, you clean that up, put that knife away, maybe change a cutting board, bring it out, bring the next knife for that next task.
Why is that so important?
Because clutter. You want to remove clutter. Sometimes you go into these competitions and a person throws out their knife roll on the table and pushes it off on the side, and they're going to use 3 knives out of that knife roll,
Right?
maybe the steel, but they're not going to use all that other extra stuff. So
We would have like a speed rack, everything labeled with
Yeah.
time. This is your sauce mies or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
yeah,
That's good. And by the way, for people listening, that same organization, I would also apply it to the kitchen.
Yeah.
So I used to do the same thing for my team. Is like I'd have a time block. So, your first 15-minute blocks, you need to come in. You need to make sure everyone has salt. Fold your towels. Fill your pepper mill. Blah blah
Right.
blah. Next 15 minutes, get your stocks on. Turn on the ovens. Whatever. Right. And I'm just kind of throwing it out there, but
yeah,
that way for new cooks that were coming in. A lot of times new cooks, and we have the curse of knowledge as chefs. We assume everyone knows what we know, but they don't. The new cook coming in doesn't know where to begin. And I remember being a new cook, it's like you get your prep list and there's 1,000 things on there, but you see, cut some parsley and like, we'll just start there. Like you start with the thing that like so easy, but it's probably not that important.
yeah,
But if you come in and you have a system and you say, okay, no, you're going to come in, you're going to start with the proteins, the sauces. And if you don't get to the parsley, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
But if you don't get to the proteins, we have a problem.
Exactly. Yeah, great point.
Yeah. Let's talk certification.
Okay,
So are you still a proctor for certification?
I am.
Yeah. So what are the different levels of certification just through the American Culinary Federation?
There's a multitude of them. Of course, the highest is certified master chef. There's savory and pastry in all of these. So certified master chef, certified master pastry chef, certified executive chef, certified executive pastry chef, and then you come down certified chef de cuisine, certified culinarian. I don't know them all off the top of my head. There's a number of them in there, and there's just basic entry level certifications too. That fundamentalist, I think, is like the first one. And you can get those in high school even.
Really?
So yeah, so there's a lot of them.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that. Now, there's an argument to be made, right? A lot of chefs are like, why would I need certification? But then a lot of chefs do believe in certification. So, can you know who Lex Friedman is? You ever watch the Lex Friedman podcast? He always asks these questions like, can you steelman the case for certification? So, chef, can you steelman the case for people that need certification?
Well, you lost me, but I think I know where you're going. So, it's a personal journey.
Yeah.
Some people say it's an ego thing, and it's not an ego thing. Really, what it is it validates your level of proficiency in things. So when you're going out and interviewing for a job, and I'm looking for a chef, and I see somebody that's a certified executive chef, and I see somebody that's not. I know that CEC is at least at this level, or certified chef de cuisine. And they've proven themselves at that level, and whether it's leadership, whether it's skill, technique in the kitchen, all those kind of things. So it's a validation of your abilities. But then it's also a personal journey, that you do for yourself. And I think there's a lot of good positive things that come out of that. And it's not just some rubber stamp thing that people put on. You have to take a written test. You have to have certain classes depending on the level that you're doing. And then you have to do a practical exam where you go in the kitchen and you cook. And you're observed by proctors. And,
So there's going to be a certain level of experience that you need to have before you're eligible for certain certification levels.
Yeah.
That's correct, right? Sure. So at least that it validates that. And then, like you said, there's going to be some sort of classroom exam and written exam. I'm assuming, yeah. So I'm assuming it's, and I've never taken one of these certifications. But I'm assuming it's probably like technique questions, vocabulary, food costing, things like that.
Yeah, there's a
Management?
lot. Yeah. Management, human resources, especially depending on the level that you're going for.
Did you pass the human resources one?
I did.
Did you?
Thanks to you, I passed. All the experience you gave me. But there's a lot, and the written exam is not an easy exam. I mean, they've got a lot of questions. You got to do a multiply out a recipe. You've got to calculate food cost. You've got to, like I say, some of this human resource stuff. There's some legal questions in there. There's some, there's a lot of
calculating
different
yield
things.
on product.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. A lot of that stuff. And then you get into the kitchen. In the kitchen, the practical exam, again, depending on what level you're at, practical exam is looking for you to do proficiently certain techniques. They want to see how well you can do those techniques. Butchering a chicken, a round fish, a lobster, and then creating these plates and things
Artichoke
like that.
or no?
Artichoke, yeah. I always tell people when they're doing the exam, you can bring in stocks because it's a limited time. They want to see the butchery of that product. They assume you know how to make a stock, so you can bring that stock in. So as a person, let's say butchers a chicken, and they've got those bones from that chicken, a lot of times they think, okay, well, I'm going to fortify my stock, and I'm going to put it in there, and you get no points for that. They don't ask you to fortify a stock. So wrap those bones up, put them in the refrigerator, label them for stock for later, and put it away. Focus on the competencies that they want to see.
Is this for time as well, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Because the time that you spend on fortifying that stock, you're taking away from
No extra credit.
No,
Yeah.
nothing. The payoff is zero.
I have a question. So obviously there's multiple ways to do a thing.
Yeah.
When you're going for certification, is it a specific way that they have to demonstrate this? Or I'm just kind of making this up. There's this page that I follow on Instagram. It's an artichoke page.
Oh,
and have you seen this? The guy just stands there like with a sharp knife and just turns the artichoke like in a second.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
and just throws it in a bucket.
Yeah.
And I look at that as like, he's good. Like I look at it as like, he's good. But then a lot of chefs on there are like, wow, he's taking off the stem and he's throwing too much weight. It's like, he's good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't know what he
Yeah.
needs it for. He's good. He
Exactly.
knows what he's doing. I'm sure he knows that he's throwing that away. And if he needed it for that, he'd probably save it. But if someone's going into a certification test, and they just boom, 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 I know how to do an artichoke, but are you looking at that saying, but that's not how we want it? That's not the way you're supposed to demonstrate it.
It does ask for the artichoke to be cleaned and prepared a certain way. So, you're going to have that stem on there. You're going to have to, this, that, or the other. So, yeah, there's from that standpoint. But how that person gets to the end result, as long as it's a good technique. I remember we were in a competition and somebody was butchering a salmon, and I heard the judges I was competing at the time, and I heard the judges talking about the knife that the person was using to clean the salmon. And that's not the proper knife to use to clean a salmon. You need to use this knife, not that knife. And at the end of the day, how's the salmon cleaned?
Right.
That's what we're judging is the technique and because how would you fabricate a chicken? You'd take a boning knife out and you'd break down a chicken. Well, I've seen people do it with a Chinese cleaver.
Yeah, very efficiently.
Very efficiently.
And fast.
So, faster.
Yeah.
So, what's the right knife?
So I have something that, I don't know if you told me this, but it's definitely something that I say now. It's like the most efficient path to get to the most delicious result. Right? The shortest path to get there, right?
Yeah.
So if that means that, and again, this is how I would train my chefs in the restaurant. If that means that you use this or that means that you use that, is it most delicious and most efficient for the ideal outcome? So don't waste your time doing something that, because it's proper, but it doesn't yield the most efficient result.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, it's not a pass or fail test. It's did the guest enjoy it? And we need to be ready for service. So there's some nuance there.
Yeah, there's techniques, there's classical techniques, there's all this kind of stuff, which is great, and I'm a firm believer in teaching those because it teaches people the basics, and I kind of equate that to basketball players. You can have the greatest slam dunk in the world, but if you can't make a free throw, you're no good to the team. If every time you get to the free throw line and so focus on the basics, and then you can practice on those, those kind of fun things.
Yeah, and like in boxing, the basics win fights. A good jab. A good jab is going to win, right?
Yeah.
It's not all the flash.
Yeah.
So you take that idea, and for people that don't know, when I started doing cooking tests, and we began this together when we'd hire chefs, we'd give them basically the certified executive chef exam. Here's a whole chicken, here's a whole lobster, artichoke, fish. Make something. And it was amazing to me, and I've talked about this a lot at length, but we haven't talked about it in some time. It's amazing to me, having interviewed so many chefs, how many crumble when they get that test.
Yeah.
And they're applying for executive chef level. Like if I'm a chef hiring other executive chefs, I've seen them crumble. It's like the worst is like they hand their artichoke. The artichoke is like the Achilles heel, is what I've noticed from our chefs.
Yeah.
That seems to be the one that's like, oh, give it to my commis, or no, you got to do that one yourself.
Yeah, it's your exam, not theirs.
Yeah. But the whole chicken, and it's something that we discussed. It's something that I picked up from you, is that when you get the chicken, it's like, well, are you just going to take the breast off? Or are you going to make stock? Are you going to make a farce? Are you going to make a roulade? Like, what are you going to do with the skin? Or are you going to truss it? Like, you can demonstrate so much just with the chicken. There's hundreds of techniques that you could demonstrate, but a lot of people just think saute the breast.
Yeah, and to take that a step further, you give them the chicken. They're going to make a sauteed chicken breast, whatever, even pound it out, whatever they're going to do with it. They take the breasts off the chicken, and then they put the rest of that carcass with the legs and the thighs and the wings, and they put it in a pan and put it back in the refrigerator. No, if you're going to use the breast, that's fine, but butcher the chicken, because the next person that goes over to use the rest of that chicken, they're going to have to start the butchery process also. So do the butchering process in one. Take what you need and leave the rest for later utilization.
So for people so you have the certified executive chef, but above that is the certified master chef. And that is probably a little bit harder to pass.
Yeah. So
what does the typical CMC exam look like? Because I know it's changed recently, right? Is it only done? Is it still done at the CIA?
I think so. I think the majority of them are done at Schoolcraft College these days, up in Livonia, Michigan. They've revamped it, and I'm not that familiar with all the changes. I know they've shortened it. It was a 10-day exam. I think it went down to 8 days, and it might be down to 6 or something like that. But it's really intensive, and they touch on all the things. They touch on, obviously, garde manger work. They touch on some baking work. They touch on mystery basket. They touch on continental cuisine. They assign you a dish from a country that you may not know. What everybody gets a different country. And it's a high pressure. And it should be. I think it's a low success rate. And there's a lot of people that are kind of not too crazy about that. I'd like to see the success rate maybe come up a little bit, but I think it should be a hard test. It's certified master chef, it should be a hard test to get to that level.
Yeah. And how many are there? Like 60 or so?
Yeah,
60, 80,
something
like
yeah,
that?
68 to 70 something, yeah.
And there's some legends in there.
Yeah.
Like Ferdinand Metz, Fritz Sonneschmidt.
Yeah.
It's funny. Here's a funny story. So Fritz, we did a dinner. No, we didn't do a dinner. We did an event in Dallas, and certified master chefs at Leonard, Fritz Sonneschmidt, Ferdinand Metz were there. And there was a lot of other chefs. I was there. And, it was one of those things. It was like great to sit at the table with them and spend some time with Fritz. And I know you know him, and we bumped into him at events together.
Sure.
And it's funny because years later, he commented on one of my chef's PSA posts, like, "Who is this doing this? Who is this chef posting all this?" And I responded to him as a chef, André Natera. We met years ago, and I named the places that we met. We cooked together in Dallas here, blah blah blah. And he's like, "Okay, good job, chef." Okay, I just want to say good job. He was like, "Who is this person claiming to be the chef's PSA?"
That's too funny. That's too funny.
Yeah, but I got a lot of respect for those guys. So you went to the CIA. By the way, I was just there.
I did.
I just came back from the CIA. I teach some leadership stuff for the Hospitality Academy, the one in San Antonio.
In San Antonio, yeah. I went to Hyde Park. And actually, when I went, that was the only one.
Right.
Hyde Park was
beautiful,
the only
by the way.
one.
Have you? When was the last time you went?
I went up there about 3 years ago. We went up there with the Colavita folks. And,
Their dining room for the.
Oh, beautiful.
It's
insane.
It's insane. I kind of regret now not going. I mean, it was beautiful.
It was a great. was a great time in my life. From a career standpoint, it really, it's, you kind of get up there and all of a sudden all the reins are loose and you can explore this and try that. And so much knowledge up there. The library, I went 79 to 81, graduated in February of 81.
But the interesting thing about culinary schools is culinary programs it's a very interesting world right now. I'm curious to see where it's going to go. I bumped into the new director of the CIA when I was in Chicago recently. We had a good conversation. Maybe I'll get him on the show. He was talking about how the industry is different now. It's not the industry that you and I got into. Now there's so many different career paths for a chef. You can go into content creation, whatever the case may be. But what's really interesting is the mentorship aspect, and culinary schools are now incorporating AI. There's more online training. The ability to learn is much quicker than it was when we were coming up. It was just the book, the library, or the classroom, or work, right?
Yeah.
And I know you do some work with some high schools.
Yeah.
And they have incredible. I went to a culinary school in. There's one here in Austin that I went to, and I did another one in Dallas where I went and I did a lecture. But the schools' kitchens are nicer than the culinary school I went to. They're incredible, and the programs are really incredible.
Yeah, what they have now, it's so refreshing because you look at these culinary programs. When I was coming up, we had home ec, that was it.
Yeah.
Now they have these career centers, and there's a great one in Mansfield. There's one great program up here in Georgetown. Yeah. Emily's the instructor up there. And I've never been to her facility. Yeah, I've never been to her facility, but I've seen what she does with those students and brings them to competitions. I'm heavily involved in the Pro Start competition, which is a high school competition for high school teams. I've done some FCCLA stuff. There's a lot of programs out there. And as long as we're shouting out Chef David Roberson in Mansfield, his program is a tremendous program. They're mentoring these young culinarians to really excel, because we get back to that first thing about competition, wanting to know if you start in high school, you've already gotten past that fear factor of the hardest competition for a chef that's been in the industry is that first one.
Right.
Because they're afraid to fail. They think if they don't get a gold medal, then it's going to question their cooking abilities. And it's not. There's certified master chefs that compete, and things happen. They don't gold medal all the time, and they don't sometimes, whatever. But what they're doing in these culinary programs in these high schools is amazing. Yeah. And you see the skill level of these students. I judge that. I judge college stuff, and sometimes I'm doing the high school competition, and then I go to the NACUFS competition, and I look at the professionals there, and this stuff from the high school is a step above. But I think it's because they have mentors.
Yeah,
right
really honed in, and I think that's important, because mentorship. I mean, we've had this conversation many times. It's like, if you're not giving back to the next generation, what are you doing?
Yeah,
it's the most important job you have.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, as we start wrapping up the show, let's talk about the Mount Rushmore of chefs.
Okay.
If you had your Mount Rushmore, personal to you, who were the four chefs that you can't say me?
Oh, well.
So besides me, if you get stuck, you can't say me.
So I've heard you ask this question, when on your podcast. And, there's some greats out there. People mention Thomas Keller. They mention Daniel Boulud. They mention, Paul Bocuse and Alain Ducasse. And I mean, all those guys are great. But, I started kind of thinking about, first of all, Mount Rushmore itself. Why are those four presidents on Mount Rushmore? I don't know, and I don't want to get into that. But, for me, whoever did Mount Rushmore, I think it would be who had an impact in my career. I think Ferdinand Metz for sure. Mm-hmm. Fritz Sonnenschmidt for sure. My first mentor, Chef Artie Dupuis.
Big part of your book.
Yeah, got me started into competitions, and I worked for him for a very short period of time, relatively speaking. Well, just a short period of time. But the impact that he had on me as a culinarian, a competitor, a father, a human being, just...
This is New Orleans?
No, this was up in New Jersey before I went to school, yeah. And then the fourth one, man, I can't use you, huh? Jeez, I'm really
stuck.
really stuck.
Yeah, well.
But I don't know who it would be, but somebody that's really had a big impact on me. Chef André Natera in New Orleans. That when I graduated culinary and I went down there and worked for him, I worked for him for 4 years, and that was a influential time in my career.
Yeah. And for people that don't know, like, I love busting your chops. For people that don't know, I love busting your chops. But thank you so much for everything that you did for my career.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. It means a lot.
I could not be the chef I am without having the mentorship from you and working under you and instilling so much professionalism and not letting me win, even when I thought I should have won. But there were some great, valuable lessons, and a lot of what I teach now in Chef's PSA, what people don't realize, you probably pick it up, it's like, I think I said that to Andre. He's regurgitating my words, but it's true. It's true. So I want to make sure that that I acknowledge that here while you're on the show.
Yeah.
Where can people find you, and where can people get your book?
Well, before you get off onto that, I want to say, and I say it in the book, I think you give me a lot of credit for things that I taught you, but I think you taught me every bit as much, if not more. Just working with you and watching you, and the goal for a chef or for anybody, a mentor, is to see the mentee do better than they have, and that's been a great experience watching you do that. But I can be found on Chef PD Mitchell on Instagram, and the book is available on Amazon, and it's also available as an ebook on Amazon.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chef. This was fun, and this was tame.
Yeah.
It's because I have a cut in my mouth.
Oh, well, how'd that happen?
I was licking stuff I shouldn't have been licking.
Yeah. You told the audience that you love busting my chops, and when we sat down, Andre told me, he says, you got to push farther down so the camera can get a good. And the farther I got down, there's a leak in this, and it's dripping on my shoulder the entire time.
I won't edit that out. Thanks for being on.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you want to support the show, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify or anywhere else, make sure you leave 5 stars. It's a 5-star podcast. I'm a 5-star man. If you want to get chef brains, I have lots of books available: English, Spanish, Italian. Some are free. You get free ebooks. Go to chefspsa.com where you get all of that. If you want early access to podcast episodes, you could become a subscriber on Spotify and also on Substack. We'll see you next week. Hit the porno music.
Yo, it's André in the kitchen, mixing, dropping chef knowledge, no fiction, stirring up the beats, heating up the session. Listen close, classes in session.